We have a mantra in this business of, will it get any more votes? And I think that's a really easy thing to do in the politicals, but I think that's also an important thing to transpose into other things like indie film. And it's like you're sitting there working on some stupid title or picking a font or whatever it is, and you have to stop and say to yourself, okay, well, will this actually get any more votes, or would the money and time that we're spending doing this be better served buying more airtime for this thing, and let's get it out the door. So I think through the rest of these ideas, this is kind of the guiding principle that guides it all. I shoot our B-roll for versatility, and for me that means all the B-roll's overcranked, everything is generally sort of like on a dolly and smooth, and everything is sort of prime lens. Even if I'm on a zoom, I'm not going to be zooming, right? Because for example, maybe I want a B-roll shot like this right here. Nothing crazy, it's kind of handheldy, it's kind of zoomy, it's kind of this is the footage it came from, and it's overcranked without any sound, and it's on a smooth dolly move and there are no zooms. And I guess my point is, from this, I can very easily create the other thing. From the other thing, I cannot easily create this. I can always add a bit of shake, I can always add a little bit of a zoom, I can always speed it back up again. I can't go in the other direction. So I would rather shoot everything nice and smooth and clean. Here's where I'm getting controversial. I use camera-recorded audio. I know, right? What other room could you go into and get a oh for that? Now, I'm not saying that we give Woody a heart attack and stick like a shotgun mic on top of the camera, right? I'm saying you have a professional sound recordist and he's got a lava and a mic on a boom or whatever the situation calls for, but the feed that he's sending to camera is what we use, and we just skip syncing. And there's going to be music under it, and whatever little better noise floor that the sound devices had than the Sony had will not get any more votes. I skip slates. I know, right? This room. I mean, I'm not using that audio anyway. Why am I going to bother to slate, right? I don't know if everybody else does this or not, but this is me filming. There's the guy, he just did a take. I thought, oh, that was a lovely take. So I will just wave my hand in front of the camera. There's no script supervisor, come on. There's no, right? I think it's just it works on every camera, works on every lens. And that was a good take, okay, okay, and we're still rolling, you know? I always shoot the same LUT. So here is a whole bunch of footage. It all looks kind of flat. It looks super flat, but then I put the same LUT on it, and it all kind of looks more or less as intended on set. And in this case, we're on the Sony, so that's the Sony S-Log3 that I think is very capable. And under certain circumstances, maybe I would want something different. But S-Log3 is fine. It's really good. On the production end, I think scouting is one of those times where like you have to take the time to go see those spaces, figure it out, see what the problems are going to be, and come in the next day, hopefully, have a chance to sleep on it, and preempt a lot of the problems that you're going to have in the production process. And if you are taking that bit of time, I think you save so much time elsewhere. And you know, okay, I think these angles will look good for this location. It sounds okay in here. A backup angle will be over there if the road gets too busy, blah, blah, blah. And you've kind of thought through all those problems. And then I think we can go in with a pretty small crew, with a pretty tight timeline, and film things that look really good. The guy who's hosting us is like, you guys got to get out of here. You got to wrap it up. And then the producer says to me, Kevin, pronto, we got to get out of here. If we've communicated this, then I know that pronto means take your time. I'd rather piss off the host than not get the shot. Right? And then she saves face, perhaps, saying, Kevin, pronto, come on, what are you doing, right? And I know what's really going on, right? I think having this shorthand is really helpful, because sometimes you do just need to kind of step over into the other room, and problems that we have are like, extras who come out and need to be filmed for diplomatic reasons, even though we don't need this shot. There's lots of times when you need diplomacy on set, and kind of working out some code can be really helpful. The shooter edits. At least the first pass. I know that there are editors that are better shooters. But if I went and I shot something, I know it really well, And if turnaround is an issue, then at least getting to that first cut of it, I'm just going to be able to get it there much faster than anybody else. Somebody else is going to sit down and watch the footage first, because that's important to editing. But I've already seen all the footage, right? So we try, whenever possible, whoever shot it, like, they have to kick out the first rough of it, because they kind of know, okay, this is what I had in mind, this, and the other thing. And they're only 30-second ads. If we want to throw that away and have somebody else take a role, we can. But it is kind of cross-disciplinary. I can pretty much tell that like a take probably starts right there, and it probably ends right there, and then another take probably starts right there, and probably ends right about there. And probably another one starts right here, although that might be somebody laughing or something because it's kind of loud, but definitely something else starts right here, right? And so I don't know why this took me so long to figure out. Maybe all you guys are saying, Kevin's an idiot right now. I did this since middle school. But I just became such a faster editor when I started doing this. And then you can see the waveforms over here, and you still have the video on the external production monitor. But like, I don't know why this isn't the default, I guess what I'm saying. Actually, I think in Resolve, they just made this kind of like a default where it comes up across the bottom of the display, which I think is great. And I think in a bigger shop, you have that person who's the animator and that person who's the colorist. And I think we have a similar thing, but it's all sort of like dialed back, where we have that person who's the colorist, unless he's tied up, and then this person's kind of a good enough colorist, right? So it's not that everyone is a jack-of-all-trade generalists. We still have our specialties, but it's sort of like pushed in that direction, where we're not so narrow and so specialized that we can't kind of like jump around and wear different hats. We just do everything center cut title safe, and this is super frustrating, and it should be an archaic thing of the past, except that it's not. For example, I was visiting a hospital and saw this on one of the screens. This was not one of our ads. This was a competitor's ad that does not put everything center cut title safe. And the unfortunate reality is that everyone's TV is set wrong. They're just on like wacky zoom modes. You don't know what's going on. It's super frustrating, right? So unfortunately, even though we're in like this era of digital media and digital TVs, we still kind of have to abide by this totally stupid, archaic thing and never put anything important anywhere near the edges. Free lunch. I think it's like, it's a weird thing, but I think it like gives people, we don't like force people to stay for lunch, but I think it gives you an opportunity to have kind of like those soft meetings with people where you get to just kind of talk about a little bit of creative and whatever, and we have to stop for a moment and just share a meal. And if you think about how much it costs to run a shop and what all the salaries are, the cost of a meal is pretty inconsequential, but I think you get a lot out of that. I use a project file template. Same thing. We have the same bins, sequences, mixes, footage, graphics, so the same kind of bins. And in graphics will be, you know, After Effects and titles and blah, blah, blah. And then we have other things on here. We have our slate. I have a broadcast safe filter that just sits on top of every timeline at all times. Nothing will ever be not broadcast safe. This is right at the beginning of the 30. And if I stretch that out, there's a fade in on it. And then this is right at the end of the 30. If I stretch that out, there's a fade out on it. You'd be amazed how many times you cut a 30-second ad and then you realize it's not 30 seconds. So this kind of solves that. And then it has the disclaimer, right, which is like a legal requirement for these political things. Make everyone espresso drinks. I've been working on my latte art. I know it's not top-notch, but I'm getting there. I'm practicing. I know this seems like a silly one, but I feel like this might be the most important one. And so I bought a really fancy espresso machine, and about every 2 or 3 hours of the day, I just stop working on what I'm working on, and I go and I make everybody espresso drinks. And I think the key is that like there's no human who for months on end can sit down for 10, 12, 14 hours a day and be productive. And so if you're trying to do that, you're lying to yourself. Stop trying to do that. I think the goal should be to make that time that you do have sitting down there actually productive, where you can be productive, you can be focused, you can have ideas, you can be rocking and rolling. And it's not going to be 12 hours a day for many days on end, right? And so if when you decide to take a break, you're like clicking over into Facebook or something, you're not like really taking a break. You're not like getting up and walking around and doing something and smelling things and talking to other people, right? And so by doing this, I am doing all those things, and I think it really like helps me communicate with the other people. Turns out people in the office like it when you just hand them drinks. So it helps that communication and that relationship in the office, but it also just like helps pace you out and helps you focus. And you know, the amount of time I spend just like thinking when I'm staring out onto the street steaming milk, seriously, is like that's my problem-solving time. You know, because I'm not distracted by a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm just steaming milk, and I have a moment to think and have other sensations. Thank you so much, guys.